And we are back in the lab today. Actual lab, not like metaphorical lab. What are we doing today? Well, I'll probably just be working on my paper that I'm taking forever to do, and then probably gonna do some more editing because I'm so behind on editing. Pookie's here doing a trial for a study, so we're gonna go visit him in the middle. So I'm not gonna do any work montage because my phone's running out of space filming on the phone. Oh my goodness. The house is in the way. Also, I'm kind of thinking of either running a lift or running, but I don't really know what I want to do because the ultimate goal is to increase VO2 max, right? But according to the literature,
according to the literature,
it's all about increasing intensity versus steady state cardio, although you could do both, but it just seems like increasing intensity is a better way to do it. Also, my allergies are just killing me. It's allergy season right now. Or it's like ending right now. So is it even a good idea to run outside? I don't know. We're trying to break 7 minutes in the mile, but I'm not running with Pookie because he's running the trial. So what do we do, guys? We'll see. We'll see what I decide on. I'm not going to do any work montage because my phone's running out of space.
Alright, let's go see what Pookie's up to. How do you feel after the study?
I feel competent. I feel great. I feel challenged.
I'm sitting here telling Soohyun that in order to increase VO2 max, what I read in the literature is that you must increase intensity or with HIIT intervals. So is it even necessary to do our training? Because my ultimate goal is to increase VO2 max, but a fun goal on the way is to do a 7-minute mile. I heard from scientists, doctor, influencer, he says that you need to do more zone 2 and then some high intensity, but from the few papers I've read, it's all about high intensity.
I think VO2max is like maximal aerobic power, like maximal capacity. I think that gives you like more room to work with, like your pace will be faster because like if you're taking a certain percentage of your VO2max, if you have a higher power, then the pace will be faster without doing more work. So in that sense, if you want to increase time, maybe aerobic power is important if you want to go faster. Like if our goal is 7-minute mile in that energy system.
Oh, but an energy system is oxidative phosphorylation.
Yeah.
Because it's above 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
But if we do HIIT, it's still gonna be a lot of.
So you're saying
carbohydrates
is okay, basically.
Yeah. I think increasing VO2 max is good because you'll have lower lactate at certain paces than if you had a lower VO2 max. Like if I had a higher VO2 max than you, we might be running the same pace, like 6-minute pace, but my lactate threshold would be higher, so like I can sustain that longer. So in that sense, I think increasing that is important. But for the run itself, we have to make sure that we also train that energy system because the intensity is so different. So I think maybe mix of the both. Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be to increase VO2 max. According to that doctor influencer guy, he was like, if you think of VO2 as a pyramid, the base of the pyramid is the zone 2 to build the aerobic base, and then the maximal training is to actually hit the ceiling to challenge the system.
Yeah.
So essentially what you're saying is very similar, where we should exercise outside that system but keep the intensity high so that when we are challenged, we are able to still push through.
Yeah, push through and sustain that intensity.
For that duration.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I guess it's not too different than what we thought, or I thought, but...
Yeah.
How much zone 2 or aerobic base do we have to build?
I don't know.
Yeah, so one of the grad students here, PhD about to be postdoc, he's absolutely massive, but he didn't train at all cardio for 6 months, and he just did his minimal effective dose protocol / exercise, where he takes one exercise and just brings it to failure in 30 reps. And especially for the squat and deadlift, because that's one of the things that he does, he goes to failure, but in doing those high compound movements that involves so many muscle groups, it taxes the system so much to the point where the intensity is super high on all muscles. He did a VO2 max test maybe half a year ago, maybe even longer than that, maybe 8 months, and then did it again in 8 months, and then his VO2 max stayed stable. So is it the theory that intensity is the most important thing, or in order to get to the VO2 max itself, you need to accumulate a lot of volume, and to maintain it, you just need that sufficient intensity? What do you think? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because like, I'll give an example for our viewers. To build muscle, it takes a lot of energy and resources, and it takes a lot of volume, weightlifting, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But in order to maintain that muscle, once you get it, it's very, very simple. I believe it's about a third the volume to maintain the muscle, I believe. Now, have I read the literature on this? No. So is it, in this case, the same system? But it's a different system because it's not like muscle. And cardiovascular adaptations are a little different.
I don't know, because when we looked at him, like after he does his lifts, he's like breathing tough, he's huffing and puffing, like he needs to sit down. So like maybe it's just when you have a certain VO2 max, it's just those little high intensity bursts that you need to make sure that your cardiovascular system doesn't go back. Or maybe it's like when
But then I was going to say, we have to consider that untrained individuals running up 2 flights of stairs can increase their VO2 max. Untrained. But he's trained, so he maintained his adaptation. But now building it is a different story.
Untrained, it's easier to get adaptations.
Untrained is easier to get adaptations. Trained is easier to maintain adaptation. But to build adaptation in like a medium, like let's say intermediate phase, so like untrained versus trained, there's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Beginner, intermediate, advanced. I'd say he's advanced, and the other people that we measured were beginner, or in that study was beginner. So like for intermediates to get to the advanced stage, what do they need to push it
there?
I guess advanced, I guess he'd be coined as intermediate, because advanced VO2 max would be marathon runners or D1 athletes like Caroline.
What would that be, like 60?
That's probably like 60 plus. But then he's probably intermediate.
But also he only trains once or twice a week. So like, other than the 30-minute to an hour of his heart rate spiking, all the other days of the week, it's not.
Well, he does BJJ once a week.
But that's also once a week.
So he technically weight trains once a week, BJJ once a week.
So is it intensity or is it volume?
That's the question. It's like the supply-demand curve, right? No, seriously, yeah. Because it's like, as one goes up, one goes down. It's linear periodization.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm in the intensity camp now.
You're on the intensity
I think
camp.
I've been sold on the intensity camp. Because the literature supports it. We see an example of Jacob. And then that ideology also applies for lifting. Because you could do 100 push-ups every single day, and that won't do anything. But like, if you're doing 1 hour push-ups, then like, you will see muscle growth. So perhaps the system needs to be stressed in that way to be able to get sufficient adaptation.
I don't know how much it differs between muscle adaptation and then cardiovascular. And then muscles, like you can get physical changes in the muscle fibers. Well, I guess cardiovascular system you get changes too.
Like ventricular hypertrophy.
Yeah, and then capillarization too.
This is tough, man. This is kind of difficult to understand.
But then why does the CSCS or NSCA, why do they all stress volume, hypertrophy?
I think volume is important, but there must be sufficient intensity. In the lifting world, they always coin it as junk volume, where it's like, if after the 3rd or 4th chest exercise in a row, there's very minimal adaptation happening. On the 1st, 2nd, maybe even 3rd in some cases of chest workouts, like you're stimulating the chest enough for growth. On the 4th, 5th, 6th, there's no point in doing more chest work because like you're fried. But then yeah, like I also learned in my class when I was coming up that volume is a driver of hypertrophy.
Because like one of the key things about the minimal effective dose is that by adjusting the intensity and the rep to like 30 reps, he's trying to maintain the same volume as a traditional strength exercise.
Like a standard 3 by 10?
Yeah. Because he told me that like the reason that it still works is because going to failure and those amount of reps equates to the same volume as if you're doing 3 by 10, 3 by 8 for like 3 days a week.
But then also in a muscle hypertrophy sense, like your muscles recover after 72 hours. So to build it, it is recommended that you would work out again to stimulate the growth again on a second day. So he only does it once a week, and I don't know, man. This is.
I think we need to measure. We need to measure his hormone levels and the receptors, like testosterone, like those drivers, like growth hormones that drive hypertrophy or muscle adaptation, to see if the levels stay elevated for a week.
There's no way. The research has been done that 72 hours. What do you think is different in him?
If you're that trained, would your baseline be already elevated enough so that you can maintain it?
What do you mean by that? So like your baseline as in like your general fitness?
Like baseline markers of hypertrophy, like testosterone level, growth hormone level.
Oh, I see.
So that he doesn't need to have a constant stimulus from the 3-day lifting. And with just one, because it's already elevated, it maintains the volume of muscle.
I guess this would be a great study to do.
This could be you.
This could be
if you come to our program.
This could be us. Because this is important for NASA too, to see like...
There should be me, holding your hand.
Sing it, Jay.
There should be me.
So decided on the steady state cardio for the modality today. How do we feel about that, Pookie?
Feel that bass.
Quick warm up and then run it. Or I'll run it and then he'll go.
I'll be cheering in spirit for Pookie's success.
And I'll make sure to get me posts so you see how cooked I am.
If it's not on Strava,
yeah,
it didn't happen.
If it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. But also, it's super hot today. Not super hot. It's like 85 degrees and like 50%.
57% humidity.
So the evaporative cooling is definitely going to need to kick in.
Yeah.
All right, catch you after the run. And I know you'll see this after the run, so you'll see how I feel. Bye, Pookie. Running alone. Thankfully, it's windy. We'll see where we're at the end. I forgot to say during my check-in that I'm wearing new shoes today. Well, technically old shoes I got on my senior year of college, but they hurt my feet quite a bit. Maybe I just really need to get running shoes. So during the run, my lower back started hurting immediately. My feet started hurting, but I felt like as I broke the new shoes in, it was okay. It was really my back that was the limiting factor, but cardiovascularly, I felt pretty good. My legs felt fine as well. So it looks like I'm slowly adapting to the running. And overall, I feel pretty good. So next run can definitely hit with Soo-hyun. Make sure to comment Washington, not wash.